Jai Gang approached him and, with a sinister look, asked him to speak. Seeing his expression, Zhang couldn't help but feel afraid and began to tremble. With a trembling voice, he tried to explain to him what had happened. Seeing that Zhang was very scared, Jai Gang calmed down and started to smile. He approached him and, while he had one hand on his hip, he placed the other on his shoulder, closed his eyes, and began laughing out loud. Upon seeing that, Zhang also became nervous. He didn't know where his courage had gone when he had killed the monsters in the secret realm. Zhang started sweating like crazy. He began to look at Jai Gang, and it didn't take long for him to realize that he was pulling his leg. Jai Gang sat on the sofa and, while he had one arm resting on it, he extended the other hand towards the ceiling and, with a calm look, explained that he wasn't pulling his leg. It was just that if Zhang didn't want to talk now, then he also didn't want to keep pressuring him. The more cards up his sleeve Zhang had, the happier Jai Gang would be. In the future, Night Watch would count on him to achieve new successes. Zhang finally calmed down a bit, put his hand on his chest, and with a sincere smile asked him not to worry. He decided not to reveal anything for now, but in return, he was going to get him epic-level equipment. Uncle Jai Gang closed his eyes and couldn't help but start laughing. He appreciated Zhang's intention, but an epic-level piece of equipment wasn't easy to obtain. In response, Zhang explained that he was serious. Jai Gang decided that it was time to get serious. He reached out towards the ceiling, causing a magic circle to start appearing. With a serious look, he thought it was good that Zhang had something up his sleeve, but there were some things he needed to clarify. From within the magic circle emerged 3 bandaged corpses, and they fell to the ground in front of Zhang. Seeing this, he couldn't help but feel somewhat confused. He asked Uncle Jai Gang what this was and where these corpses had come from. Jai Gang started to stare at Zhang and revealed to him that these guys were at least 3rd grade masters of level 60 or higher. There were even 2 4th grade grandmasters with a level above 90. They were not people to be taken lightly, since any one of them was someone whom even Jai Gang could not handle. He was just a corpse collector. Zhang became somewhat nervous, and as a drop of sweat was falling from his cheek, he began to look at the corpses and, with a terrified look, asked Jai Gang if all these guys wanted to kill him. With a calm look, Jai Gang asked him to stop talking nonsense, as these guys had gone to kill Muhan, but they had all been secretly eliminated by her protectors. Zhang turned towards him and, with a confused look, asked why these guys wanted to murder Muhan. In response, Jai Gang took out a scroll and, while holding it in his hand, asked him to read the content. Zhang took the scroll with both hands, opened it, and began to read. This scroll was a great summer hunting classification. The first on the list was someone of level 46 named Ying Jan, an invincible descendant who was in the war zone of the capital. Killing him would grant 3 celestial rewards. The second on the list was someone of level 46 named Jia Shu, an invincible descendant who was in the Madu war zone called Shanghai. Killing him would grant 3 celestial rewards. The third on the list was someone of level 45 named Zhang Wang, an invincible descendant. He was in the war zone south of the Yangtze River, called Zhang'an. Killing him would grant 3 celestial rewards. The 12th on the list was someone of level 41 named Sai Ban, a national defender descendant. He was in the war zone south of the Yangtze River, called Zhang'an. Killing him would grant 2 celestial rewards. Zhang did not know what this great summer hunting list was. All were names he had not heard before. Looking a little more closely, he noticed the name Zio Bahan. With a surprised look, he asked Jai Gang if this was not a member of the Zio family that protected the country. Jai Gang began to look at Zhang with a serious expression and responded that yes, all of them were the most outstanding geniuses of their generations. Camp and Zio Bahan was one of them. He was also going to participate in the Tanu camp of the 8 war zones, and Zio Bahan was going to be with Zhang in the Yangtze River Southern War Zone. With a serious look, Jai Gang explained to him that if one was in the 7th transformation, they were considered as King Protector. If one was in the 8th transformation, they were considered as Country Protector, and if one was in the 9th transformation, they were considered invincible. The top 100 prodigies of Great Zia were at least descendants of Sealed Kings. Muhan, being one of the 12 descendants of Sealed Kings in Zhang'an, had only been able to occupy position 77 on the scroll. There was also information about her. She was ranked number 77, a descendant of the Sealed King, and she was in the Jongon war zone. Killing her would grant a celestial level reward. Jai Gang began to look at Zhang and explained that if the descendants were powerful, then much more so would be the Z family that ruled the country. Several minutes later, Zhang finished reading the entire scroll, approached Jai Gang, and returned it to him. With a serious look, he asked if he had shown this to him so that he wouldn't be too unprepared in the Tenu camp. Jai Gang took the scroll with his hand and replied yes. The greater the power he displayed, the more danger he would expose himself to. He asked Zhang not to expose himself recklessly unless absolutely necessary. Zhang clenched his fist tightly, started looking at the ground with a lost gaze, and explained that the other geniuses had the backing of great powers, but his uncle Jai Gang, although he had a good master, had not learned the arts well and so far was only a third-level master. He feared he might not be able to protect Zhang adequately. Zhang began to walk and told Jai Gang that he would take this into account and would try not to reveal his power to anyone in the Tenu camp. He started looking at the ground again and thought that Uncle Jai Gang not only did not blame him for hiding his power but was also making great efforts to protect him. He put his hand under his chin and, with a smile, remembered that they said Zhang's performance in the secret realm had been better than the others. If this got out, then he would definitely be above Muhan in the rankings. But there was something strange. She hadn't said a single word to anyone since she returned and was keeping his secret. Jai Gang stood up and, while keeping his hand under his chin, approached Zhang. He started looking into his eyes with an insinuating look and, with a smile, asked him to be honest. He asked what he had done to Muhan. He recalled that in the secret realm, there were only necromancers. He thought Zhang's tastes were really strange. Upon hearing this, Zhang began to look at Jai Gang with a confused expression and couldn't help but start sweating. To stop talking about the subject, he quickly turned his back on him and, as he was walking away, started waving goodbye with his hand and explained that he was going to take a shower and then sleep because he wanted to rest a bit. With a confused look, Jai Gang told him that he had not said this was a bad thing. Several hours later, it began to get dark, and Zhang returned to his apartment. In front of him was a table with a bunch of jars. He placed both hands on the table and, with a joyful look, started to gaze at the jars. He had bought 33 units of third-level blood and 14 units of fourth-level blood. He had sold most of the equipment to get this. This should be enough for the insects to reproduce in the second generation. He took a jar, removed the lid, began to pour the purple blood on his arm, and with a smile asked the little insects to come out as it was time to eat. He decided to start first with the refined third-level blood. This was equivalent to devouring a master of 3 human transformations with a level above 60. To extract just one jar required hundreds of ferocious beasts. He told the insects that their father had made a great effort for this. Little Nine didn't take long to smell the scent of blood. She manifested herself, climbed onto Zhang's head, started looking at his arm with a hungry gaze, and explained to him that she also wanted to eat. While the blood was floating around his arm, he began to look at Little Nine with a cheerful look and asked her not to eat now, as it was still a long way before she could reproduce. Upon hearing this, she became sad, grabbed Zhang's hair with both hands, closed her eyes, and started crying like a little girl. Seeing this, he couldn't help but feel somewhat confused. He grabbed her with his hand, lowered her from his head, and threw her on the table on top of a jar. He closed his eyes and, although at first he didn't want to, in the end, he also let her eat. She grabbed the lid off the jar and, with a hungry look, thanked him, saying that he was the best. She removed the lid from the jar, put a straw inside it, and started drinking. She was level 18 and was in the process of leveling up to 19. While she was drinking, Zhang grabbed another jar of blood, removed the cap, and began pouring the blood into his arm again. This was level 4 blood, equivalent to a great human master of level 90 or higher. Upon smelling the blood, the insects emerged from his body and began to drink the blood. A system window appeared and informed him that the reproduction process of 9 miasma wings insect larvae had begun. Each insect could reproduce a total of between 40 and 60 larvae. The divine evolutionary acceleration was in progress. More insects came out of his body and started to drink the blood. Several minutes later, another system window appeared to inform him that the insect reproduction process had been completed. Now there was a total of 100,000 offspring. At that moment, Zhang's hand began to release Little Nine's poisonous mist, which was made of insects. He started looking at his hand and, upon seeing this, couldn't help but feel somewhat confused. With a surprised look, he went on alert and began to wonder what was happening. Several seconds later, the insect larvae began to emerge through his hand. He grabbed his hand to prevent the insects from coming out, but it was in vain. The 100,000 insect larvae emerged and started flying around his apartment, devouring everything in their path. John began to look at the ceiling and, upon seeing this, couldn't help but panic and thought that the insects were rebelling. He clenched his fist tightly, extended it towards the ceiling, gritted his teeth forcefully, and gave the order to all the insects to return to the insect nest and stay still, as he had not asked them to come out. The insects began entering his arm and started returning to the insect nest. When looking to one side, he saw that the insects had begun devouring everything. They had devoured the painting and part of the table. He did not take long to realize that the insects were terrifying, and it was dangerous to let them out while at home, since they were capable of destroying it. On the table lay Little Nine. She was licking a jar of blood and enjoying every drop. With an angry look, Zhang scolded her for thinking only about eating instead of taking care of her mischievous offspring. He turned his head to the side, and his statistics window appeared. Currently, he was level 26, had the identity of sovereign of insects, had the profession of divine rank creation, and his talents were growth of all things level 1, divine evolution level 1, and ancestral tree. Little Nine's statistics window also appeared. She was a level 21 insect mother, also known as 9 wings of miasma. She was disaster level. She had an offspring count of 100,000 units, and her combat power evaluation was 197 stars. Upon seeing that she had a combat power of 197 stars, John couldn't help but feel joyful and start to smile. This had improved too quickly. She was almost at the level of a third-level master. While his body was surrounded by powerful energy, he clenched his fist tightly and thought that everything was ready now. It only remained to wait and go to the Tennu camp tomorrow, reach level 30 all at once, and complete Little Nine's reproduction. Zhang started to imagine the sexy little knife and, with a joyful look, thought that at that moment, he was going to be able to obtain a new mother insect. At the same time, Jane Tang returned to the headquarters of the Night's Watch. With a surprised look, she asked Jai Gang if he wanted her to seek out Chan Wang for him to intervene. She didn't know if it was necessary to make such a fuss over Zhang's matter. Jai Gang was sitting in front of her on the sofa. While he had one hand resting on the arm of the sofa, he put the other under his chin and explained to her that he was doing this just in case. He knew that in the war zone south of the river, Zhang would meet with the prodigy of the Z family, Ziobahan. The most dangerous thing was that there were no secrets that could be hidden in Tennu camp. He started looking at the floor and, with a sincere look, explained to her that there was something in Zhang that terrified him. He was worried about Zhang's poison. He knew he was hiding many secrets from them. With a serious look, she began to stare at Jai Gang. She couldn't believe that this was possible and also asked him not to scare her. She began to remember what had happened a long time ago. 600 years ago, the Devourer caused disturbances, and Great Zia created the forbidden professions. Once discovered, users of forbidden professions were eliminated directly. She stood up and, with a look full of terror, explained to him that if Zhang really had a forbidden profession, then it would be revealed at the moment of awakening. She believed that Jai Gang was just being paranoid. Jai Gang clasped his hand with the other hand, started looking at the ground with a look full of terror, and thought that he hoped it was as she was saying, that only he was being paranoid. This is the end of the video. Don't forget to subscribe.